Welcome back to All About America's Team, a week where we basically say, relax, the season is not over. My name is Ray Nickens, joined with my very pessimistic and very stupid.
Yeah, it's me, Owen the Chico.
Who
And
once again picked against the Dallas Cowboys, even though he promised he would stop doing that. But here he is. He is 1-5 and probably on pace to finish with a worse record than he had last year. But
I'll have to
that's not
figure out what that record was.
well. The good thing is we have video evidence and we can go back and see. But
Yeah.
that is not the important part of this show as much as I would like to make it to be. We have a lot of content to get through and not a lot of time to get through it. So, Owen, why don't you kick us off with the news and then we can dive into the throttling that happened last Sunday.
Well, thank you for asking. As we all know, Tyron Smith did not practice at all last week, and we all thought that he was going to play. But I'm very thankful that we record on Wednesdays, because recording on Tuesdays is a shame, because then the injury report comes out on Wednesday and we don't know. But both Zach Martin, who had a thigh bruise at the end of last week's game against Patriots, which is why he kind of limped off the field in the fourth quarter, and Tyron Smith were both limited in practice. Today was a big veteran day off for Dallas, so guys like Tony Pollard didn't practice, who like is top 5 in carries, which is wild. Doesn't really feel like he's top 5 in carries and top 5 in yards, which does not feel that way. So a lot of the vets got rest days, which was nice. I think that Dallas got out of the game pretty healthy, which was nice. Also, the just on injury news, the Patriots cornerback that they drafted, I forget his name. He is out for the year with torn labrum, and that was on the play, which kind of changed the whole game in my opinion. I'm just bad. Christian Gonzalez, it changed, which was the reason why that Lamb was so open on the touchdown, was because it wasn't guarded by Gonzalez. And also Judon, something happened to his arm, or something happened to his bicep, and he will probably come back later in the year, but he'll be out for the foreseeable future. Dallas gave Bill Belichick the worst loss of his career, which is kind of wild that in back-to-back New England Patriot Dallas Cowboys games, they've done two things to Bill that have never happened, or that are historic. One last year, 2 years ago, being the most yards a quarterback has thrown for. I think that was it. And two, the most lopsided victory or defeat in Bill's case in his career. So it just, I didn't expect it, and I if Ray wants me to, I can kind of speak my piece onto why I felt that way.
No, please
But
go ahead. I am here to listen. And
Ray looks very dapper today, so he's ready. But
I'm ready.
I'll go into it. One, I thought that Dallas was I thought that after last week's against the Cardinals running game situation, I thought that the Patriots would be able to exploit it like the Cardinals did. I was wrong. I thought that since the Patriots had Zeke and Will Greer, that they would have an understanding of what Dallas wanted to do on the offense, because they were both, well, at least Greer was in there for training camp. I did not think that Dallas had the wherewithal to change things, but I was wrong. I thought that Christian Gonzalez would not tear his labrum and would play and would shut down Lamb. I was wrong. I also, if anybody cares, Dallas had 2 of the top 10 PFF grades. Take that for whatever it's worth. Tyler Smith had the best grade of the whole league in week 4, which kudos to you, Tyler Smith. You are a phenomenal left guard, and you should stay there for the rest of your career.
Good Lord.
Huh?
Okay, keep going.
I think Dak was also top 10. I think it was them 2 were top 10. And yeah, there a lot of guys outside of, I think I'll transition to my thoughts on the game, and then Ray can kind of give his thoughts. I thought that one thing that really popped out to me was how well Neville Gallimore played. People thought that he was going to be was just going to be a bubble guy and potentially cut in training camp. He in the third quarter he looked really good. Had a TFL, had a few tackles. He looked great. Leighton Vanish had the tight end. You know, just I thought that the whole defense played really well. Michael Parsons had a really great game. Just I feel like every week there's a new picture of Micah being guarded by 3 offensive linemen, and it's kind of cool. I thought that the offense played well. They still have this red zone issue, but they're getting there quite often. And if Dallas can fix this red zone issue, which they're going to need to fix it if they want to beat the 49ers, because they will not beat the 49ers. Brandon Aubrey will not win you a game against the 49ers just based off of him solely. And Dallas needs to clean that up. But I do think that Dallas kind of might have given themselves a taste of how to do that with Hunter, Lepecki, Lupke. I think that was, I think he'll probably be your Zeke replacement, a new power back. I thought they had a good game. Lamb played well. Gallup played well. Tolbert played well. Ferguson played well. What are you rolling your eyes for?
You just keep it just keep going. I'm saving it.
Okay. Ferguson played well. Schoonmaker dropped a touchdown, which kind of stunk, but that's another issue. Turpin had a really nice run, which was saved by Sean McEwen. So good job on you. The offensive line looked good. Hopefully next week we can see the full 5, which it's crazy. Here's a stat for you, Ray. Dallas left to right on the offense. Tyler Smith has not played with Tyron, Tyler Biotish, Martin, and Steele, those 4 in his whole career. And it even dates back to earlier before that. So this might be the first time in a while where Dallas gets a full starting 5 offensive line in the most important game of the season, which would be kind of nice.
How captivating.
How captivating indeed. Yeah, that's all I kind of. I thought it was very good on Mr. Fossil for calling the 2-point play. They noticed that one of the on special teams for the Patriots, I don't even know what to call, but one of the guys that tries to block the field goal, like over pursuits and allows for an easy touchdown, and something they practiced over the week. And on the first touchdown, they realized, I assume on the CeeDee Lamb touchdown, they noticed it, or on one of the touchdowns, they noticed it. And then after the second touchdown, they tried it and they were successful. So good for you. It's not every day that you're able to outsmart Bill Belichick. But yeah, it was, we got to see Zappy play. Bill Belichick got annoyed with reporters. And I didn't even mention Bland. Go you, man. Go you. For all those watching, I'm currently wearing a Leighton Vander Esch jersey, so go you as well. It's the only Cowboys jersey outside of Tony Romo that I own, and that fits me.
That's not true.
What?
You own a Dak Prescott high school jersey.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm never going to wear it, though.
But it counts.
Sure.
It counts.
Okay. Well, maybe here. When I go home, I'll bring it back, and maybe it'll give some good luck. What a goal of mine would be to get him to sign it, and then I can frame it.
Yes.
So
I'm sure after all the things you say privately about him, he would laugh if you asked him to sign your jersey.
If Dak knows who I am, then I'm in deep trouble. But yeah, I thought that it was a really great game. I don't think Dallas has let a touchdown up. I don't think Dallas has a lot of touchdown in their stadium, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, it's go Dallas. They played a good week and hoping that they can take this strong week. And it seems like all the players know how important this game is. Not even for getting over the last two divisional round losses or play wild card divisional round, but if Dallas wants to get to the big game, like they aspire to, having postseason aspirations.
You still use the word wrong. I don't know what you're trying. You're already I've been very patient over the last 8 minutes. You don't need to pile on. It's just gonna make it worse. I'm just sitting here.
If they
I'm
want to
letting
get to
you
where they
see.
want to get to, they have to beat the 49ers. And if Dallas wants to get there, they're going to have to handle business because outside of the Eagles, that's your competition in the NFC. And then you can go battle the AFC East towards the end of the year and figure out how you do. But I think that we're officially in the second quarter of the NFL season, which is kind of crazy. And I think that people will either completely fall off the Cowboys bandwagon or the bandwagon will be more full than normal, depending on how Dallas plays. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Ray, please give your thoughts on the Patriots game. There probably won't be many thoughts on your end, and anything else you may want to add.
Well, first and foremost, I would like to say that your soliloquy was very, very inspiring. I really enjoyed all those flashy points that you made about the Dallas defense and how you did not expect them to do what they did, and you didn't expect all of this fun and stuff to happen. You didn't expect that they would be able to stop Ezekiel Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson running the football, or the fact how Dallas handed Bill Belichick his worst loss in his coaching career. But then I kind of thought, and I was like, well, what did Owen say the week before the game? And here are a couple things that came to mind. Number one, he said the Dallas Cowboys are done. Number two, he said the defense has been exposed and are fraudulent. Number three, he said Micah Parsons has been exposed. Number four, he said Deron Bland is trash. He is not good. And we can move on. We can move on to the things they said about the quarterback, but I will just save those just in case I need them later. And last, but certainly not least, he had some very choice words to say about the wide receiver one, CeeDee Lamb, but I will kind of save all of that for a little bit later. But I'll just go through some things that I took away from the game, because I did have a little bit more time to kind of get my thoughts in order before the show. So I did get them in order. The first thing I have is I put the game into three main takeaways. The first takeaway was Dallas's defense does what they always do. And what did they always do? I tried to kind of let me back up. So here's the Dallas Cowboys defense philosophy, and I told you, Owen, this 4 or 5, 6 days ago. What Dallas likes to do is they like to put pressure on the opposing team's offense early, and either force a 3 and out, force a turnover, and try and get points off the turnover. And every time the Dallas Cowboys accomplish this goal, they usually build up a pretty big, sizable lead and totally eliminate the opposing team's rushing attack. So what did the Dallas Cowboys defense do this week that they game plan to try and do every week? 2 early turnovers, both led to touchdowns. You had the fumble by Mac Jones, and Van Der Esch returned it into the end zone for a touchdown. And then you had the pick 6 by Deron Bland that added an additional 7 points. So, by halftime, the Cowboys were up 3 scores, and the game was pretty much over. But as they build a 2-score lead, 3-score lead, the Patriots really did not have any other choice but to pass the football. And the Patriots are not a good passing team. That's the last thing they wanted to try and do against the Cowboys defense. And Mac Jones ended up throwing another interception to Deron Bland, who now, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but he leads the league in interceptions since the start of his career with 8. Shocking for a player who's a bum and not good to lead the league in interceptions with 8. But I mean, you can't really rebuttal it because we could pull up exactly what you said.
No, I know that.
It wasn't very nice. Deron Bland's a great player, and he did a great job, and he had one bad game on a short time span to switch positions, and then he bounced back and had a great game. And I expect him to continue to have a good season, by the way. So I mean, they totally flipped the script on what the New England was wanting to do. Same way they flipped the script on what the New York Giants wanted to do, and the same thing that they did against the New York Jets, although the New York Jets kind of helped them out by only giving the ball to Breece Hall 4 times. But they did the same thing. They put pressure on the quarterback, forced turnovers, forced them to be a pass team when they're not a pass team. And that's what the Cowboys are going to do the entire year. They're gonna do that same formula. They've been doing the same formula for the last 2 seasons and this season, and they're first in takeaways and first in touchdown scores as a defense. So it's working and it's paying dividends, and it's why I think the Cowboys, even with a very lackluster, below average offense, can advance.
How are they below average?
Because they're below average. And
what metric?
Hold on, and I'll tell you. They can still advance to the postseason. They can still win 12 games, not 6 games, like you said. They're going to win 12 games, and they're going to make the playoffs. And then we'll see what they do in the playoffs. So that's my first takeaway: defense. The second takeaway is Dallas still sucks in the red zone. The Dallas Cowboys are now the 30th best team in the NFL in red zone efficiency, which means that they are the 3rd worst team in the NFL with a percentage of 36.8%. The only 2 teams that are worse than the Cowboys in the red zone are the New Orleans Saints, which makes sense because Derek Carr is a terrible red zone quarterback, and the Houston Texans, which doesn't really make sense. But the only explanation that I could find doing some research is they haven't necessarily made it to the red zone a ton. So their percentage is skewed on the fact that their attempts are lower than Dallas's. But those are the 2 only teams that have a worse red zone percentage than the Cowboys. And it's not a good sign because the Cowboys have not played quality defenses. They played 2 really bad defenses, as we're seeing. And then they played the Jets defense, who gave them a little bit of trouble, but ultimately the Cowboys won by 20 points. And then they played the Cardinals defense, which is scrappy, but the 49ers just ran all over them and scored 30 plus. So it's a really bad sign that the Cowboys are still having this issue 4 games in, and we're going to see if it's just a anomaly and not something to panic about, or if they go into the San Francisco and their red zone percentage drops again, we'll know that it's actually a concern and something to pay attention to and something to discredit their chances to advance past the first or second round. So red zone defense still is bad, or red zone offense is still bad. They need to improve that. And the last takeaway that I had from this game is a little bit more negative, but I feel like after in this situation, if you look at my record, I picked the Cowboys 4 weeks and have paid for it once, and then we have my co-host who is 1-5 and has picked Dallas against Dallas 3 out of the 4 weeks. So, and I mean, if you're wondering why he has 5 losses, it was because he picked the Jets. But so that's how that is. But the last one is, well, Dak was impressive last game. There are a lot of things that causes me to have concern about him as the quarterback in the offense through the first quarter of the year. So let me just read you some numbers. When you called me earlier and said if I had stats. I lied. I admit way more than 3 stats. So the first one is Dak. I'm going to go through Dak's kind of his pass attempt chart. And you actually gifted me this graphic, so I appreciate it. So Dak Prescott completed 1 pass over 20 yards against the New England Patriots. So that he only attempted 1 pass over 20 yards against the New England Patriots. And by the way, 0 passes over 10 yards over the middle of the field. 1 pass over 10 yards over the middle of the field, which is still, I don't know why they don't target the middle of the field. It's the most attackable part of the field on a defense is the middle of the field, and Dallas won't do it. I don't understand why. Maybe they'll start against 49ers. Who knows? Maybe they're saving 90% of their offense for the San Francisco. So 3% of his passing attempts traveled over 20 yards. 21% of his passing attempts were behind the line of scrimmage. 71% of his passes were 10 yards or fewer. 47% were 5 yards or fewer, and 29% were over 10 yards. So, I mean, from those metrics alone, you would say Dak's, the Cowboys offense, not necessarily Dak alone, but the Cowboys offense are not pushing defenses down the field. And that shows up in his numbers. He's 6.7 yards per attempt. That is the lowest of his career. Think back to when he was a rookie. His rookie yards per attempt were 0.2 more than what his rookie yards per attempt were 8 yards per attempt his rookie year. And that was the year where they relied heavily on Zeke. They ran the ball a ton, utilized play action. His yards per attempt were almost 2 yards higher his rookie year than they are now. This is his 8th season, I believe. He's a seasoned veteran, and he's throwing the ball a yard fewer than he was his rookie year. And then his yards per game, 227, again, lowest of his career. He's a 9-year veteran. As you go on into your year, he's still considered in his prime. His yards per game should not be his lowest of his career in his 9th season. And again, 2 yards lower than his rookie year. So that's not all on him. It's not a concern mainly on him. It's also a concern that the Cowboys offense is very vanilla, very watered down, very handcuffed, and it's not going to work. Like, you can argue, you can say they're doing great, they're doing fine. I'm telling you, it is not going to work when the Cowboys play teams, as we saw against the Arizona Cardinals, who don't turn the ball over, don't allow the Cowboys defense to get pick sixes, scoop and scores, get points, spot the offensive points, make the Cowboys feel good playing ahead. There's no pressure, because as soon as they get into it, we need to score points and get back in the game. We've seen it the last year that they are unable to accomplish that against quality caliber football teams. Like, they're just not. So at some point, the Cowboys are going to have to push the ball down the field. They're going to have to make, defenses respect that they can do that. It's going to open up the running game for Tony Pollard. While he's had a good season, his yards per attempt are down. Some of that, I believe, is because defenses are not worrying as much about the downfield passes. So I think it will open up the running game for Tony Pollard. Another thing it will help the receivers get more open on those short patterns. They won't be playing up. They won't be challenging or breaking on the ball as much. They'll be a little bit more worried on the deep threat. Once again, you brought Brandon Cooks in for a reason. Why is he not going down the field? It doesn't make sense, but maybe they're waiting for the 49ers game. And it just, like, at some point it's gonna have to change, and I don't know when that is. You can't worry about your quarterback throwing interceptions. That cannot be the center focus, that your team is really bad in the red zone. Because again, once they got into the red zone, again, the play calling got more vanilla, it got more limited, it didn't work. And like it gets hard. I understand it's hard to score in the red zone. The defense knows exactly where what they cannot give up. The field is much shorter in length and in length. They don't have to travel as far, but it makes it a lot more difficult. But you got to attack defenses in the red zone. You cannot play for field goals because it's not going to work. So the offense is going to have to get more aggressive. And that concludes my takeaway on the Patriots game. Cowboys throttled them 38-3. It was no contest, and the game was over pretty quickly. So
Can I give a
I don't. And by
rebuttal?
the way, I don't think the cornerback going out for the Patriots changed the game because the game was
Well,
already over when he left.
no, it wasn't. Well, yeah, you could say that the score was not over, but yeah, you could say that New England was down in the dumps just emotionally. But I think that him losing him allowed Lamb to score. Because well, I'm not saying that Lamb couldn't have caught that regardless, but you're putting Lamb on a lesser talented corner. All right, I'm gonna give like a 5-minute rebuttal of that, and then we can move on to the Patriot game. So Mr. Ray says that I don't think the Dallas offense is bad. I don't think that you can be a bad offense and lead the league in third down rate. I think that's kind of hard to do, and leading it is pretty nice. Where every single time you get to a third down, it's a coin flip if you're going to get it or not. 50%. I think that's pretty good. Dallas and Buffalo are the only two teams to have over 50%, and just the team out there. No reason why I'm saying this, but at 15th is still the LA Chargers with 38.89%.
Do you know what the Buffalo Bills red zone percentage is?
I haven't.
I can tell you that it is 30% higher than the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, and that is phenomenal.
Which means that their offense is much better than the Cowboys' offense. The Cowboys can have as high of a third down percentage as they want, but if they're not converting in the red zone and scoring touchdowns, it's not going to matter in January. So,
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think that I think it's two different things to say. A, their offense is bad, and B, their red zone offense is. I don't think you can have a below average offense and lead the league in third down conversion. I don't think that's possible. I think that they're two different things. I think that Dallas, from their end zone to the 20-yard line, are really good. And also your comment on averages, Dak is 20th with 6.7 and Patrick Mahomes is 7. So Dak is only 0.3 below the best quarterback in the league. And as of right now, Patrick Mahomes has 1,000 yards, 1,006 yards, and Dak has 908. So he's 98 yards lower, which again, to compare to the best, you could say that they're below. And yeah, I think it's a different offense. They're trying more screens. There are more passes below or at the line of scrimmage or behind it. Personally, I'm gonna be a wishful thinker. I think that your four opponents. Yeah, you're right. They have not. This is gonna be cringe. They have not unleashed Brandon Cooks yet, and I have no idea when that's gonna happen. But I don't think that unleashing him was something that you needed to do in 75% of your games. You could say, yeah, Arizona, but I think that game was a loss regardless of what Dallas did with Brandon Cooks. Now, I think that Dallas has had this game marked on their calendar ever since the schedule came out. As a hopeful, wishful thinking person, I'm going to imagine, or just for my own sanity, that Dallas has cut down on some of the stuff they're going to do until week 5. Now that could be complete malarkey, but I thought it could be that. Now, if Dallas goes into San Francisco and looks like idiots and still has the same red zone issues, then I'm gonna be singing a very different tune come next Wednesday. But if Dallas is able to turn things around, because like I said earlier, and I know you agree with me, Dallas cannot beat them with field goals. I don't think that Dak has been playing poorly at all. I think that he's been playing well, regardless of. I do think that the offense is kind of limiting him, right? Well, I think that he is a better. I think that he is a much better quarterback than what he is than what the offense is doing. Dak early on in his career was not very good with deep balls or throwing them, but he's gotten significantly better over his career, and I would like to see more of them. But just for just comparison's sake, the leader in yards per attempt is Tua with 9.6. Purdy is 9.1, and then it goes down to 8. Stroud's at 8. Um, yards per attempt and also Hurts is 12 with 7.4. Now, is there a big difference between 6.7 and 7.4? What
No,
do I know?
there's not. It's
So
it's not.
yeah. So yeah. Things are lower. Like I would love to see Dak throw for 300, but if personally, I'm fine with if I think that Dallas can win with Dak throwing for 300 or for him throwing for 250, but as of right now, he is the 14th best quarterback in yards. And there are plenty of good quarterbacks below him. Like, for example, Lamar Jackson's below him. Jordan Love is below him. Trevor Lawrence is 13th. Joe Burrow is below him. Deshaun Watson is below him. Yeah. So I think that things will. I'd imagine that he will still throw for 4,000 yards at some shape or form. Things have been slow over the last 4 weeks, but I don't really think Dallas has not been in a shootout game yet. Arizona was just a wash from the beginning.
That's just not true.
Well,
the Cowboys had a very high percentage and a chance to win, and they blew it. It was not a wash from the beginning.
I think that emotionally and looking at the state of the team, I think that when your best player on defense is pouting after the first play and your wide receiver one, as you call him, while the ball is still in the air, is pouting for a flag, I think that they were out of the game, and they had a chance to win 100%. But I think that I don't think that it's winning football for the ball to still be in the air and for you to be complaining about a flag unless you're, what was it, 2017 when that happened to the Saints. Complain in that game, sure, but if the ball is still in the air and if you're that guy, because he's made plenty of catches like that before in his career, but I would imagine that emotions were high and he did not look like himself, which caused me to be annoyed. So maybe not on the scoreboard, the game was not washed, but just visually looking at them and them two specifically, it did not look like they thought they had a good chance of winning the game. And in my opinion, and I could be wrong. I again in closing, and we can move on to the San Francisco game. I don't think the offense is bad. I don't think it's below average. I think that, converting over 50% of your third downs is pretty great. And I think that as soon as Dallas fixes their red zone, they'll be killing teams and on an even better basis than they already are. What are you rolling your eyes for?
Because it's just, I'll save it. I'll save it for the 49ers game. I'll save it. All right, we can move on.
Also, I found this little tidbit funny. Every single year, the last 2 years counting this year, there was always this stat that gets thrown out there out of the blue. 2 years ago was yards allowed by a corner, which was never I had never seen that stat be something until then. Last year was interceptions thrown, and I don't even know who leads the league right now in interceptions. All I've seen is clown interceptions and bad reads. And now we have this wonderful stat where it is the quarterback, the percentage of the offensive points that the quarterback has accounted for. And if you look at that, Dak's like 4th in the division, which is apparently like, I think it's stupid. It's irrelevant to the show or anything like that. But I find it funny that, the quarterback, he leads them. So he brings them down the field. So every offensive point is a byproduct of him. But it's just funny because for instance, the Eagles running the ball for 98 yards and then giving Hurts a tush push would like constitute as a point that he accounted for. And I just find it funny that every year there is something that comes out that just tries to just mitigate the Cowboys. Because again, right now, yards allowed is not even a stat, and I have no idea who leads the league in interceptions.
Well, I could give you a pretty well thought out, educated guess that it's most likely Zach Wilson.
Okay. I could tell you right now, actually.
6.
It is Jimmy Garoppolo, actually. Him and Daniel Jones both have 6. Stafford has 5. Look at that. Ain't that a shocker? Zach Wilson has 4. Justin Fields has 5. Howell has 5, but 80% of his were against the Bills. So, yeah. But
well, the last thing I want to say about that point is, yes, the stat about the points the QB is responsible is a really dumb stat.
Yeah. I'm glad that
I think it is ridiculous, but I also think that it's ridiculous that you are bringing it up because you're all over the place with your opinions on the Cowboys and the quarterback. And
here, like, I'll give a brief synopsis of my overall, and then we can move on. Does that sound okay?
I'll give you 35 seconds.
Okay. I did not think that Dallas would make the playoffs. I thought that the Saints were gonna take the wild. I thought the wild card was gonna be kind of the same. The playoffs. I don't think that Dallas was gonna make it. I had Dallas winning 6 games, and then due to self-reflection and realizing that I'm an idiot, I bumped them up to 10 games. I still do not think the Dallas. I still do not think the Cowboys will make the playoffs, and if they do, I'll be very happy. And it could change. But my opinions on that's basically it.
Wait, so after another self-reflection, did you or did you not say that the Cowboys are winning 6 games again?
I said, I could be wrong. I believe that I said that if Dallas can't score, then they will score 6 and they will only win. If I said that Dallas is winning 6 games, then I said it. But I believe in the context that I meant was that if they can't fix this red zone issue, then they're only going to win 6 games. Because you're not beating any team in the AFC West not named the Jets by scoring field goals. You're not beating the Eagles by scoring field goals. You're not beating the Chargers by. Actually, I don't know. You could probably no, you can't.
Exactly, because the Chargers score touchdowns when they get down the field, they do capitalize and get in the end zone. Yep, you're fine. You're catching on. You're realizing that even though your third down efficiency is really high and great, if you don't score, you're not winning. So you're fine. You're catching on. You're catching on. I like it.
Honestly, personally, I think that I would imagine. Well, actually, I don't know, but I don't know. In my heart of hearts, I am much more comfortable with a high third down percentage and a low red zone percentage. The red zone stuff will figure itself out.
That is okay.
Well, okay, right in week 4.
Okay, hypothetically,
in week 4,
let me get negative for a second. I hate to do this, but I will. Like hypothetically, let's say the Dallas Cowboys find themselves at home in February, and at that point they had a top 5 offense when it came to converting on third down. Are you going to say, well, at least they converted on third down at a high effective rate?
I'm saying right now,
this offense was really average and fraudulent because they never figured out a way to capitalize on their drives by scoring touchdowns. And it
in the
bit them
offseason,
in the
in the
you know
season,
what. And it bit them in the you know what when they played the Eagles or the 49ers, or even the Detroit Lions, and lost in low scoring games because they couldn't score.
in the season recap that we do every year that I look forward to, if Dallas does not bump this up like the top 10 range or top 15, then yeah, it'll be an issue. But I'm saying right now, because if okay, here's my thing. If Dallas has done a very poor job of play calling in the red zone, they have not, huh?
Mike McCarthy. Continue. I was just coughing
Okay,
because I like to say Mike McCarthy's name.
yeah,
Has a
and
great
it has
roll
been
off
on
the
him.
tongue.
It's been on him. It's been on the offensive coordinator. It's on whoever you want to point it at. I am much more comfortable with them running idiotic, stupid plays. Let me finish. And failing than them feeding the ball to Lamb or smart plays to their better players. If Dak for the last 4 weeks was throwing fade routes to Lamb and they were not converting, where are we going to go? That can't fix itself, in my opinion. What I'm saying is that it will change. I would like to see Dallas use their star. I like to see them use their stars more often, but they are not scoring in the red zone because they are shooting themselves in the foot every single drive.
They're not scoring in the red zone because they keep targeting Brandon Cooks over the middle on short
they're
routes,
not.
which is not what he's good at.
Brandon Cooks has the only time that I saw him get targeted in the red zone was the Cardinal game, and it was twice on the interception and on the in route. They've been primarily going after their tight ends. Jake Ferguson dropped. All of their tight ends have dropped the pass, I believe, in the end zone. If they catch that, we are in a much different position right now. If Luke from Michigan catches that, which it hit him, it was a really nice throw. It hit him right in the hands. He looked at it too. If he catches that, we're having a much different conversation right now. And it's not like Dak is throwing ducks to everybody or it's just poor execution and primarily a lot of their targets are going to the tight ends and they're just not working out. And Ferguson had a really nice bounce back game last week. Luke's going to have to figure it out. Hendershot was a healthy scratch because he hurt his ankle, or not a healthy scratch. He was out due to an ankle. Hopefully he can come back in next week and be productive. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not like Dallas is throwing fades or getting Lamb involved and it's just not working out. Because if that was happening, then you'd be like, hey, they've been together for 4 years and they're still not figuring out. Their connection is still bad as it was day one. You'd be saying that I think that personally, I'm much more comfortable in what they're doing right now than if they were targeting their better players and it was not working out. And also, to your comment on the deep ball, Aisha Morrison, after the Arizona Cardinal game, asked Mike, I said this on the podcast last week, asked Mike McCarthy, a big part of the Texas or the West Coast offense is the deep ball. Why have you not been using it? And he said that we need to do a better job of doing that. I don't think that it's smart to use those plays when you're killing the Patriots. Now, if they don't do them against the 49ers, who gave up, let me pull up the exact stat. They gave up 147 yards to Puka Nacua, that secondary is very, you can beat them if you want to. It's I completely blanked on where I was going, but I think that there are opportunities to get better in the red zone, and that's not by throwing shovel passes to your wide receiver. It's by putting your bigger back in, your fullback in, and using him and being smart and not being stupid with these trick plays to try to outsmart someone. Just be smart and play football. And if Dallas continues to not play well to not score against the 49ers, then I got nothing for you. There's no glimmer of hope that I can give. But this is the most important game of the season, and will continue to be the most important game of the season. And how they play will have massive positive or negative effects on the rest of the season. And I would like to imagine that they will use Cooks more. They will do something better in the red zone, and their defense will continue to play like it has. But Puka, I don't know what your thoughts are on him compared to Lamb, but if I know how you view Lamb, and I don't know how you view Puka, but I would imagine that Lamb could do something similar. And if they want to succeed, and if they execute well, I think that there can be a glimmer, a very, very, very small glimmer of hope.
Well, to answer your question, yes, I do believe that CeeDee Lamb can do just as much, if not more, most likely more, than Puka Nacua. But in order for him to do that, he would have to be targeted and thrown the football too. And Puka Nacua is averages on I believe, without looking it up, about 7 or 8 targets a game because Matt Stafford feeds him the ball.
Lamb got like 4 targets or 6 targets last week. He needs to get more than that.
Well,
if you give him the ball more like he did against the Jets.
Yes, they need to throw CeeDee Lamb the ball, and they need to throw him the ball and Michael Gallup the ball in the red zone.
Yeah.
You don't need to throw.
I would like to see them.
It's not like it's not a hard concept. When you're in the red zone, you target your best players. And that's what it doesn't.
I think Ferguson's in that category. He needs to catch the ball. Huh?
He's shown that he's not reliable in the red zone, so he should not be the first option.
No, okay, not the first option, but I think that he is in he played better last week. I think that in the 4 or 5 guys you're going to give the ball to in the red zone, like Gallup. I would not give Cooks the ball in the red zone unless it's like he's not winning a fade. I'd give it to Lamb, to Cooks, or to Ferguson or Pollard on some run or just for passing. I give it to them 3. But please continue.
I mean, so it just needs to get better. I mean, I don't want to drag this out. We still need to predict the 49ers game. I thought your point about you would much rather them be foolish this way than targeting their best players. I thought that was a little odd.
No.
But I understand what you're saying. Just the way you worded it, it took me a little bit to process it.
But I mean, I would rather them fail by being idiots than fail by incorporating their best players. Because if they incorporated their best players, then the offense, like you said, would be bad.
Well, I would rather them just incorporate their best players anyway.
And they should.
If you do, it would most likely mean that they would be better and score more points.
And I believe for a glimmer of hope that you may see that this week.
Great. Well, if you believe it, that means we're on good track.
Because if they don't do it this week, there is no other game to do it.
I could think of a lot of games.
Okay, well, I mean, this game for playoff reasons is very important outside of the Eagles games because the 49ers are winning their division. Dallas has an opportunity to win theirs. And seeding, if they beat the 49ers, they can leapfrog them if they have the same record. And that is important for home field advantage. So outside, I'm just saying in the next clump of games, if they're not going to do it now, what other game are they going to do it? There are other important games, but if not now, when? This is the most important game on the 17-week schedule, in my opinion.
Well, unless you
don't do it this week.
Unless you believe that the San Francisco 49ers are going to go 16 or 15-2 which I don't think is going to happen, then yes, this game is the most important game of the year. But I don't believe that Brock Purdy is going to go undefeated the entire rest of his career in the regular season. So even if the Cowboys do lose this game, it's not the end of the world, and they can still get the 1 seed. Is it important? Is it important for team morale? Of course. And we can just say we transition into the 49ers game because we're basically talking about it.
Yeah.
It would be great for team morale and team belief that they can beat them, sure. But if they lose, it's not the end of the world. And there are still plenty of playoff caliber teams that the Cowboys are going to face this season that are going to tell us a lot about their ability to line up and complete. And like you said, we're only a quarter of the way through. Right. There's still 75% of the season left, even if they still stink up the joint and are still terrible in the red zone. And we can cry and yell and scream. There's still 12 games left in the year for them to play. So there's still a lot of time for them to get better. But yes, this game is important. I do agree with you. It's important. But if they lose, it is not the end of the world for them. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're still most likely going to have a chance to play them again in January, and they're going to have another shot at it. But it would be nice for them to win just to get that monkey off their back and say that we have and can beat this team.
Yeah, because they exactly. That's what I'm saying. If they do lose, I don't have much confidence going into a divisional or conference round game. That they've now lost.
If it makes you feel any better, even if they win, I don't have any confidence because it's the Cowboys in the playoffs, and we know what happens when they get in the playoffs.
Outside of the Cowboys' history, I'm saying that for some, I just. If I play a guy 3 times in Madden and I lose all 3 times, I don't think I'm gonna beat him the 4th time. So it is important,
especially if he's outscoring you by 50 points. That's a skill issue.
And it is important for Dallas to win this game for psychological reasons because Hankins, who wasn't on the team 2 years ago, is like, we need to beat them. They've had our number the last 2 years. This is an opportunity to beat them. Mike, all reports that practice went well today. That they're zoned in, they're annoyed. Dak is annoyed, so
I would care about Dak being annoyed. If anything, I would rather him be calm than annoyed because he likes to his
unhappy
stupidity meter increases when he plays San Francisco, and the more you're angry, the more stupid you can play. So he just needs to chill out. He just needs to chill out. McCarthy needs to chill out. CeeDee Lamb needs to chill out. They just need to play their game, play football.
The way that
please throw the ball further than 10 yards down the middle of the field.
Do you think Dak throws an interception this week?
Yes, I do. I do think he'll throw one.
All right. Well,
but to ask questions.
You have questions for me?
No, I do. I don't have a list of questions, but I do have a question for you that I'm coming up with right now. So here's the question that I have. Obviously, the last 2 games against San Francisco were close games, and well, they were close on the box score. But in reality, if you watch the game like I did, unfortunately, the Cowboys really did not put up a fight in the second half of the second contest, and they kind of threw the game away in the first contest with the Dak interception inside their own territory, the botched turnover on downs drive, and just letting Jimmy Garoppolo go down the field and score a touchdown late. They just kind of blew it. But
the Dallas game was 9-9 going into the 4th quarter. I think that if Pollard doesn't blow his ankle out,
now we're just making excuses. But
how's that an excuse?
It's an excuse because. Well, let me just finish my question. Here, let me finish my question. What do the Cowboys need to do in this game that they did not do in the other 2 contests to get them the win? Because both games were a 1-score game and were very and Dallas definitely did have an opportunity to win the game if they did a couple things. So what stands out are, I'm not gonna say one thing, I'm gonna say three things. What three things stand out to you that the Cowboys need to do on Sunday night to get a win?
One, I think that we saw this in the postseason game last year when Dallas was deep in their own territory and they threw a deep ball to Lamb and he came down with it late in the game, which kind of gave me a glimmer of hope they were going to win. They need to do that. Like I said, their secondary is you can do something in that secondary. Their defensive line, if Dallas rushes for like 60 or 70 yards, I'll be a very pleased man because they're with going up against Armstead and Hargrave, it's going to be tough. Which is why I think that Tyler Smith will have to have the best game of his career, and Zach Martin will as well, which he's done before, which is nothing new for him. I think that your interior offensive linemen will need to have career games. Oh, also out of the blue, Randy Gregory got cut today. We
That
have
has
that later.
nothing to do with the 49ers.
It came into my head. It came into my head, and I was like, I have to say it. But going back, I think that Terrence still needs to play well against Nick Bosa, and that your offensive line has to play well and keep Dak fresh. You also or keep Dak up, right? You also need to throw the ball to wherever Fred Warner is not. That man was built on a lab, and just keep the ball away from him, please. Tre'Davious Ward, who was a Cowboy draft pick or UDFA, is now the starting corner. I believe he was. Maybe I could be wrong. He did not practice today for the 49ers. So take that for whatever it is. He's nicked up, and Dallas has an opportunity if they play as well as Stafford and Puka did in that game. And for while I'm here, their defense. Let me see, I just had it. Their defense gave up 7 points to the Steelers, 23 points to the Rams, 12 points to the Giants, and 16 points to the Cardinals. So they're giving up points, and Dallas will probably be the best offense they've played so far. Ray, would you agree?
Yes.
And if the Rams put up 23 points,
well, okay. The Cowboys the Cowboys and the Rams are very similar in their offense, I would say. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to just say the Rams are a better offense because but I would say that I trust the Rams offense more.
Cowboys.
I would trust the Rams offense as a unit more than the Cowboys just because of their coach and how he utilizes his stars. Yeah. But I would say on paper the Cowboys have a better personnel.
Yeah,
obviously because of their offensive line.
Yeah. So if Dallas can take their blueprint. I have no idea how they're gonna do it, but Ayuk's gonna beat Dallas. I don't know who's gonna cover him because you can't put Gilmore on him because he's too quick, and you can put Bland on him, but Bland's gonna have to have
the hate for Bland. Yeah, it's coming.
Bland played well last week. Great game. Best game of his career.
Bland played well his entire career.
Yeah, yes. Arizona, he did not play great. Short week. That game does not matter. Last game against Patriots, there were a few plays where he got beat, but it was 30-3. Who gives a damn? Bland will need to have.
I'm glad you caught on.
Bland will need to have the best game of his career guarding Ayuk if Dallas wants an opportunity to win the game. Ayuk put up like 150 week 1, 2 touchdowns. And he's just a fast guy, and he's beat Dallas before. Debo, they have a lot of weapons. Also, they have if Dallas can stop CMC, and CMC only he wasn't even their leading rusher last year against the Cowboys. So Elijah Mitchell, who did not practice today, I do not believe, had 14 carries, 51 yards, and CMC had 10 carries for 35 yards. If Dallas can do exactly what they did against the 49ers and not drop interceptions, Trayvon Diggs, they can win the game. If they can hold Kittle to 95 yards, Ayuk to 26, Debo to 45, which is a tough task, I know. But if Dallas can play and also have Brock Purdy be in a mind warp the whole game, he did not look great that week. Ray, I think we can agree on that. That Purdy did not look good that game.
He looked good enough to me. He was the best quarterback on the field.
That's not saying much based on how
saying a lot because
Micah was a lot. I'm saying that he played well enough to win, but that he did not play great. The Dallas's defensive line played better than 49 offensive line, and Purdy was running for his life. And if Dallas's offense had a smidge of confidence, they win that game. If Dallas can play that defense, if Dallas's defense can play the same way, Dallas will win the game. And I have full trust in that. And I hope they do. But it's going to be a tough game. And I honestly, with the injury report, I'll read it because I want to get it. I want to get it out. Greenlaw, Elijah Mitchell, and Travarius Ward did not practice, which is important because Ward and Mitchell was their leading rusher last year against the Cowboys, and somehow they got the CMC, and hopefully they can do that again this week. But if Dallas can, and also what you were saying before about pass rush, if the 49ers can run on Dallas will have 0 sacks. They will have 0 opportunities to pass rush. And Dallas will need to stop the run to be able to get to Purdy. We'll give predictions after, but I honestly think that the game will be won and or lost by Dallas's ability to stop CMC and get to Purdy and limit their weapons, which is kind of self-explanatory. But if you can stop CMC, you'll be all right. End his touchdown streak.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Floor is yours.
Yes, I think that no team is really going to stop Christian McCaffrey, but the Cowboys did a great job of containing him in the playoff game. So I would just say the Cowboys need to contain him and don't let him be the reason that they win and the Cowboys lose. That would be the main priority on offense, is to shut down their best player, Christian McCaffrey, who really makes the offense turn and makes it move and do all that fun stuff. But it's very interesting that you brought up a lot of keys for the defense and what the defense needs to do. And the reason why I say that is because I have absolute faith in the defense that they will do their job. Because they have not given me enough reasons to be like, oh, I don't trust the defense. Here or there, they'll have a bad game. But in the postseason, even against the 49ers, when they had a tough start, they still held the 49ers to
19 points.
19 points, which is well enough points to hold a team to in the postseason for your team to win. And
I have faith that happens, that Dallas's offense will figure it out in the red zone and they'll win. Because if not this week, when? And that is my mantra. Okay. So just to clarify, but the floor is yours.
Okay. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that you were bringing up the defense, and so that leads me to my biggest takeaway of the Cowboys. The way the Cowboys are going to beat the San Francisco 49ers, one simple thing. You have to win the turnover battle. Dallas cannot afford to give the ball to the 49ers on a short field. They cannot afford to fumble the ball, throw stupid interceptions in the red zone, do all of those things, because if they give the 49ers the ball and lose possessions, they're going to lose the game because the 49ers are too well coached, too well disciplined, too physical, and too smart to do the things that the Dallas Cowboys have done religiously almost for the last 25 years and did last year in the playoff game. So the Cowboys have to flip the switch. They have to really, and I'm sure actually I'm not sure, but I would hope that Mike McCarthy is emphasizing we cannot turn the ball over. We have to take care of the ball. We have to capitalize on our opportunities, and we have to make them first mistake and the last mistake, which the Cowboys don't do a great job of doing in the postseason. But the next thing they got to do, which this is I don't know why. Let me just get into. They got it. They have to start fast. Brock Purdy, he's only trailed 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. He hasn't really trailed much in his career, if you think about it. He's undefeated when he started and finished the game. He's looked very comfortable because he's always ahead. Cowboys have got to find a way to get ahead and put a not a big cushion. Not saying they need to blow the 49ers out, but go 7, 10, 14. Get a 2-score lead early. Because we have not seen Brock Purdy down 2 scores. I don't think ever. Maybe against the Raiders, that one fluke game. But we haven't seen Brock Purdy down by 2 scores and have to battle his way back and come from behind a lot. So they got to do that. Next thing they got to do, they got to convert in the red zone. Like you said, they have to score, get in the end zone. They have to score touchdowns. You're not beating San Francisco kicking field goals. And it's really going to end, like you said, while I do think that there is time to fix their red zone, probably even if they still stink against San Francisco, it's still going to tell us a lot about Mike McCarthy as a play caller. If he does the same things this week and it doesn't work, it's going to tell me that he's still soft. He's still not going to take chances. He doesn't trust his quarterback, and that's not a good recipe for the overall season. And look, you may say that the Cowboys are not going to be able to get to Brock Purdy if they don't stop the run. But the thing is, the Cowboys have been getting to the quarterback early and forcing turnovers as a defense and scoring points as a defense early. That has just prevented teams from even trying to run the ball. That's the point I've been trying to get across to you, is that their formula is not stopping the run first. Their formula is to beat teams down so bad early that they're taking away that part of the game and forcing them to come from behind. And if the Cowboys can do that against the 49ers, it would be incredible, because it would take away half of Christian McCaffrey's valuability, one, because he can't run the ball, and also let them take into account okay, he's coming out of the backfield. They're not giving him the ball inside the trenches because it's going to take too much time off the clock. We can not saying they wouldn't account for a run, but we can set up our defense for a pass to McCaffrey in the flat or wherever. The Cowboys are going to be able to get to the quarterback if they. Okay, I'm not going to say that because that's not true. But the Cowboys will get to Brock Purdy even if the 49ers, or even if they have not shown that they can stop the 49ers running game. Because that's their goal every game. We're going to get to your quarterback. We're going to make him make a mistake. We're going to capitalize on defense, or we're going to give our offense a short field and they're going to capitalize. And all of a sudden it's going to be 14, 17, 21, nothing. And you're going to have to pass to get out of the hole, and we're not going to have to worry about your run game. That's their formula. It's been that formula for 3 years, or 2 and a quarter. seasons, and it's not going to change. And that's why I think they've been able to mask their inconsistent running game, even though they've shown they can stop the runs in flashes. But that's why you have that game every now and then flare up out of nowhere where you're like, what the heck is going on? It's because they stop the run in a different way than most teams do. Is they just force teams not to even try. But yeah, I think what's really interesting, and this is going to say a lot about Dak Prescott. I'm going to kind of flip it and make it a quarterback 1v1, even though that's obviously not what football is. It's a team sport. It's 11-on-11, but I'm going to do it anyway because I've earned the right as the objective and the positive person who picks the Cowboys every week and doesn't do all the other nonsense. I'm just going to, casually just slip in a couple of numbers if my computer decides to work and not freeze every single time I try and.
Well, he's doing that.
I'm good.
Okay.
So, wait, where are my stats? I already mentioned.
While he's mentioned that, I know that Dallas will be able to get sacks, but I meant that sacks that are they had 2 sacks against Arizona, but those sacks didn't really do much. I mean, like Dallas can get as many sacks as they want, but if they're not game changing, and they don't really matter all that much, and that's what I meant.
Here we go. Found it.
Please continue.
Perfect. So here are Brock Purdy's numbers as a passer compared to Dak Prescott's numbers as a passer this season. Brock Purdy completing 72.3% to Dak's 71.3%. Brock Purdy is throwing for 254.8 yards per game to Dak's 227 yards per game. His yards per attempt is almost 3 yards higher. He's one of the high. He's first. Dak is 9th. Wait. Yeah. No. Dak's not 9th. Sorry, that's a different stat. This stat doesn't really matter as much to me. 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 0 and 1 in. Okay, but I mean, Dak hasn't really having the opportunity to throw picks because they've been, they've limited any down the field throws. And then we have Purdy is number 1 in QBR at 84.6. Dak is 9th at 67.3. That's a 17.3 QBR rating difference. One of those players has been in the league for 9 seasons now, 8 or 9 seasons. The other player is a second-year player who was picked last in the NFL draft only a year ago. And what I find, and I'm gonna tailor this back. This isn't a knock on Dak as much as you probably think it is. It's just I'm using it to make my point. The 49ers offense stems from the West Coast offense. A lot of the things they do is based on the West Coast offense, but Kyle Shanahan, with the help of his father, Mike Shanahan, have implemented different things that make their offense, just like Sean McVay has done for his offense, and Mike McDaniels in Miami. They've implemented things to their offense that sets it apart from the traditional West Coast offense. They're all different, but they all stem from the same concept. What's interesting is that Kyle Shanahan seems, I'm not saying it is because I don't know, I didn't talk to him or Mike McCarthy or any of them, seems to have more faith and is willing to put more on his second-year quarterback who was picked last in the NFL draft. He's putting more faith and putting more on his plate to allow him to throw the ball down the field, to attack defenses on every quadrant of the field, to spread the defense out, to make them, play different coverages. He's throwing it to all over the field. It looks like, they said his elbow might be an issue. It looks to have added arm strength. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he seems to have a little bit more velocity on the ball just from watching him play. He's making solid NFL throws that I don't think he would have been able to make last year. And it looks like he has a lot of trust. He looks like he has a lot of trust in the coaching staff, and it's obvious because of the numbers. He's throwing 30 yards more down the field than Dak Prescott. And now you have Dak Prescott, who has shown he is capable of throwing the ball down the field efficiently, effectively, and there's no excuse other than the coach is not allowing him to throw the ball down the field to explain why why that's not happening. And why I say that is the Cowboys need to put their money where their mouth is and allow Dak Prescott to do what a top 10 quarterback is allowed to do in the NFL. Because I don't think anybody or none of us believe that Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's a middle of the pack. He's middle of the pack, maybe 13 or 14, but he's not top 10. I don't think he's top 10. I don't think he's deserved to be top 10. And the Cowboys need to put their money in the mouth and let Dak Prescott do more on the field, because if they don't, Cowboys are not going to win, because the 49ers are too good. They're too well coached to make the mistakes that the other 4 teams that Dallas has played have made. They're going to play up on the receivers. They're going to challenge them. They're going to be physical. They're going to attack the Cowboys' offensive line. Tony Pollard's not going to have as much room as he's had in the past, because they're not going to be worried about Dak taking shots down the field, because they don't do that a lot as of what we've seen. And it's going to be very hard for the Cowboys to move the ball on the San Francisco 49ers, because they're just, that team is going to be ready to play. Like they're always ready to play against Dallas. That's one thing you could say about San Francisco. They're not going to take this game lightly. And if they do, then that's going to be a shock. So you have to open up the offense and allow and trust your quarterback to make good reads and make good decisions, because instead of, and they should have been doing it all of this year anyway, because instead of putting training wheels on and making the offense, more preschool based and kindergarten, and not in, okay, you're going to throw it short, you're going to check it down, you're not going to throw it deep. Instead of doing that, they should have been going over film and saying, okay, here's what went wrong on this play. We're obviously not going to do that. But also, if you see this, you can't throw the ball there. Throw it out of bounds. Don't throw an like it's third down. It's third down. If it's not there, don't force it. We'll take the points and move on. You got that should have been the conversations in the offseason. Not, we're going to make an offense and not allow our quarterback to do what he's gotten pretty good at, which is pushing the ball over the middle of the field, especially. They have to find a way as an offense to be aggressive. And if they don't do that, then they're not going to win. But I think they're going to be aggressive. And I think they're going to win. And I'm just going to give my score prediction right now. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat San Francisco. It's not a popular opinion amongst the media. The media thinks that San Francisco is going to have their way with Dallas, and honestly, I don't fault them for that. It's a pretty, popular opinion. But I think the Cowboys, in typical Cowboy fashion, are going to come in here and win, and they're going to get their victory, and they're going to play well, and they're going to deserve it. But like I said, I'm not going to really put a lot of substance into it in the postseason. But I think the Cowboys are really good at beating that one team that nobody expects them to beat in the regular season. And that's why I think that they're going to do it. They're going to get the win. So I have Dallas winning in a very tight, low-scoring game, even though it doesn't really seem like it when you think about it. But I have them winning 23-19. And I think the reason why they're going to win is because they're going to have one fewer turnover than the 49ers are going to have. They're going to have one Dak interception, and the 49ers are going to have a Purdy interception. They're going to have a fumble somewhere. And Dallas is going to capitalize on one of those turnovers and get in the end zone, and that's going to be the difference in the game.
All right. That was very good. Just some thoughts on what you were saying, Ray. While you were doing that, I took the liberty to check. Since San Francisco passes on 47% of their plays, and Dallas passes on 51%. They're both bottom 5, which was kind of funny. I was just curious to see, and I also saw that someone said on X that, or whatever you call it, that Brock Purdy only has 41 passing attempts in his career. Like only has 41 trailing passing attempts, which is kind of crazy. So hopefully they can add to that number. Yeah, you gave that was a lot of great statistics. Breaking the 2 quarterbacks down and everything like that. So no surprise, I have a very different breakdown of how I think the game's gonna happen. I can hope one thing, and I think Dallas is gonna lose 30-10. I don't think that Dallas is gonna be able to stop the run. I think they're gonna get out physicaled, or their physicality is gonna be lacking. For Dallas, which is going to allow CMC to run wild. And it's also going to have guys like Michael Parsons over pursuit, which is going to open up the play action. Going to open up things for Kittle and Ayuk and everybody. And one of the reasons why I don't think Dak has had many interceptions is because they have not been trailing. Like 3 of the 4 games were a wash before Dak touched the ball the 3rd time. And at that point in time, you're not going to want to be throwing deep passes, not because Dak can't make them, but because when you throw the ball deep or throw the ball into cluttered areas, you're opening yourself up for disaster, which is why, in my opinion, they would do more short intermediate passes and passes of an average of 6.7 yards, because you are allowing yourself to succeed and you are helping your defense. Now, if you're down and you're throwing the ball a lot more, which opens any quarterback up for interceptions, Mahomes and Zach Wilson in a heat fest, and he almost threw 3 interceptions. So when you're down or when you're in that, things are gonna get ugly. So I have, like I said, Dallas losing 30-10, and it will, Dallas will not have an opportunity to rise up to the occasion until they play the Eagles. I think they play them twice in a month. And I don't know. I don't really have much faith going into the game. Maybe that'll change. But Dallas has the worst coaching staff. They have the worst they have the lesser defensive line. That's kind of, but again, if Dallas can stop the run and it's a passing fest, then I would trust Dak to go up against their corners, or the 49ers corners, more than I would Purdy to Gilmore yeah, I think that's mainly because Dallas has not had an opportunity to, but I can check, but I 99.9% confident they have not allowed a wide receiver to have 150 yards receiving. And the 49ers have. And also Gilmore, he's a savvy guy that I think that he could, and honestly, I think the Dallas is not going to be able to stop the run, but if they do, then you'll catch me on Twitter.
Or you could just not tweet.
Never.
Like a buffoon.
No, I'm just saying that if Dallas stops the run, then I'm wrong. But if they don't stop the run, Dallas can't. I don't think that Dallas can outpass San Francisco running the ball, if that makes any sense.
I'm just confused because not even 10 minutes ago, you said you believed that Dallas would one contain Christian McCaffrey, 2 contain Deebo Samuel, 3 contain Brandon Ayuk, and 4 protect Dak Prescott. So I'm confused. So I'm confused as to what happened in the 9 minutes to where you went from I believe and think that they will do it to saying I have no confidence that the Dallas Cowboys will stop the run and do all those things and lose by 20 points.
Maybe I framed it poorly, but what I was saying was that those are the keys to the game for them.
Right,
That's
but
how I
then
meant.
you said, but
That's how I
you
meant to
said like
frame
word
it.
for word, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys will do those things.
Yeah, Dallas is more than capable of doing it. Do I think they will? No.
Then
But
why did you say you believe that they will?
okay, I meant to say I believe they could. I misspoke, but I believe that they have the ability to do so.
And
But
they've
they have not.
shown you, they've literally shown you against this team that they can limit their offense.
Yeah, and that was last year, and
And
this
it was
is
in
this
a
year.
big, high stakes postseason playoff game. The
You're
defense is not
100%
the
right.
side of the ball you should be worried about. And it sounds like that's the reason why you don't think the Cowboys are going to win is their defense. Like
Because
if you were saying that you
the
don't believe their
offense,
offense is going to solve their problems, sure, fine, you could say 30-10. But the defense shows as proven that they can come rise to the occasion against anybody.
no, and you're right. But the only running heavy team they faced, or the personnel wise, outside of the Jets, who they just stopped that. I don't know why they went away from it, but the Cardinals ran east, west, north, south, all over them. And Dallas did stop him in the postseason. You're 100% right. But I'm just saying that based off of that, Dallas did play better last week, but this is going to be their biggest test outside of the Eagles. And I just no, I just I don't I just don't have I don't have much.
So do
Much.
you think the Cowboys are going to try and push the ball down the field this game?
I feel like they're gonna have to because they're gonna be down.
Do you think that they will be effective in spreading it out? Because you said that you would rather you trust Dallas against the 49ers corners more than you do the 49ers against Dallas's corners.
Yeah, no,
So
I do believe that, but I'm saying even with that,
saying I'm just trying to understand because what you've said and like the verbiage and how you phrased a lot of what you said is that you're like, and let me say, like you're saying all the right like things, and I agree with a lot of what you said. You're
what you
bringing
said is
okay, like the
100% what
Dallas
I'm
secondary
saying.
is better. The
Yeah,
Dallas's defense, by the way, is just better overall. They're better in every
I
important
would
stat
take
other than
Armstead.
run defense.
Yeah, no, and
But
I
they're
did say
forcing
that,
more
but I'm saying is
turnovers,
that I
scoring
am
more.
much. Yeah, no, 100%. That Brock Purdy is probably the best quarterback you faced.
Obviously,
the 4 weeks.
He is the best quarterback by far.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that I based off of the first 4 weeks of the season, I have a bet. I believe that Dallas has a better opportunity to beat San Francisco's corners than, because the biggest play that Dallas has let up in their corners was Gilmore getting beat and Malik Hooker missing a tackle. If against the Giants, the Giants, that doesn't happen, or the Jets. Sorry, as we're in a very different game. We're just Gilmore would be talked about in a much, from between the two of us, we talked about in a very different light. What I'm saying is that I do not think, even if Dallas, I believe, can pass the ball better. But if CMC runs over Dallas for 150 again or 160, I think everything else isn't going to matter.
Well, obviously, if the 49ers are able to run wild with CMC, the Cowboys are going to have no chance of stopping their plethora of weapons at receiver or running.
And I think that he will have a big game against. He's tore up the league so far.
Okay, so that's fine. Look, I'm not going to get upset and like rant and say you have like little to no faith or your points, your takes do not add up with what your predictions are. I'm just gonna say this. Here's what I'm gonna say. If what you say comes to pass, and the Dallas Cowboys do lose 30-10, and their offense looks abysmal, their defense looks abysmal, the quarterback looks abysmal, the head coach's play calling is abysmal, will you come on the next show and say, without excuses or any of that, I'll say, this is not working, they need to go in a different direction with their head coach?
I would say that I again have no viable option for them to replace him with. But
That's fine.
if
There are a lot
Jerry
of
and
coaches.
everyone else in the locker room is saying that this is the biggest game of the year, and Jerry said that San Francisco, as of right now, are the Super Bowl favorites. And if you which Dallas should consider themselves, or I'd assume that teams or people consider Dallas to be a top 5, top 10 team. If you get embarrassed against the number one team, then yeah, would he get fired? No, but I think that if games like that, if they happen more often, then I think that Mike McCarthy will find himself in Las Vegas.
I don't even think Las Vegas will hire him, but
their current coach.
Just to make your point on, you don't know what their other options are. I said this last time.
I'm not saying that I don't think there's anybody better than him. I'm just saying that I personally do not know offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators that well.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, look, the Arizona Cardinals head coach had one of the worst interviews I've ever seen, and they showed that ridiculous interview of him talking to, I think it was Buda Baker.
Yeah.
When he walked in, it was the most awkward, ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. And he seems to be doing just fine as their head coach. So it really doesn't matter who they get, as long as they end up being a competent head coach and don't do dumb things and, make a difference. And that's been my main problem with McCarthy, is while they've won a lot of games, it's mainly been because of the defense and how Dan Quinn has built up that defense and has really empowered them and coached them into being number one in takeaways, number one in touchdowns as a defense. Really just kind of flipped that entire philosophy of how the Cowboys have been winning from era to era. The Cowboys are known for their defense now more than their offense. And then McCarthy, he's not saying he's the worst coach in the world, but he's definitely, kind of been in a good spot. And like I said, there's no excuses anymore with the play calling. That's him. He got what he wanted. He's the guy. And if they lay a dud on Sunday, it 5 games in, you played the best opponent you're probably going to play all year, and you do the same things that you were doing the first 4 weeks. Like, at that point, I would be ready to pull the plug. And they're not going to pull the plug, and I lost Owen. But
no, I'm here. It's my laptop is awful.
Yeah, the laptop was just so shocked by all the
all the hate,
all the fire I was spewing that it took Owen off the screen. But
it combusted last week as well.
But like I've been wanting McCarthy gone. I didn't think that he was going to lead us to the Super Bowl as the head coach. And if what Owen says is true, and they do get blown out by 20 points against a team that they're not that far off from in talent and ability and just chances to win, then I don't want to see him on the team after the year. That's
and you're right. You have to move on. I think that anytime that you're able to bring in a Super Bowl winning coach, it's a good thing. And it hasn't worked out so far. He's won a lot of games, you're right, and you know, whatever you want to blame both playoff losses on, they just did not play all that well in either game, and sadly, this worked out both games. I was flying during both of them, so I missed some of them and was able to rewatch them, and was not a happy man during them. But yeah, he got everything he wanted, and I think that this is kind of Dallas doing all the checks and balances, seeing if it works, and if it doesn't work, then you move on. Jerry, you know, I think that whatever he wants will happen, and if I know that Dion said that he doesn't want to coach, but I'm sure that if Dion wanted to coach in the NFL, Jerry would sign him in a heartbeat, and that will never happen. But if Jerry has an opportunity to improve, I believe it that he will. And yeah. Also, one thing that I just want to comment on, and then Ray can either give his final closing statement so we can wrap it up. There have been plenty of times in the red zone where I've seen Dallas run this like fake read option where Dak could keep it and run it for a touchdown, but just doesn't keep it. And I would like them to give Dak more designed runs in the and the red zone. That is something that I would like for Dallas to do.
Well, if it's a read option, he can choose whether or not to keep it.
You're 100% right, but
the fact that all I'm saying it is either he's not reading it correctly or he doesn't want to run, and I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't want to run either.
After he broke his leg or his ankle, there were reports that Jerry and the higher powers of Dallas rained upon the coaching staff and Dak not to run as much because that was detrimental to their season. So I would imagine that they've put yet another handcuff on Dak.
Then don't call a read if you don't want him to run, don't call a read option.
Well,
it's another one of those. It's
not a read option, but it's looking like it.
I mean,
it's something that it looks, I don't know what, but it looks to the viewer, to me at least, like a read option. I could be wrong, but just looking at it, Dak does it. He looks to the left, and it's green grass or green turf, and just like you and I have been saying, these small things to fix the big red zone. It's not like Dallas needs to tear down the offense. They just need to do the smart things, and I would like to see them do that this week.
I agree. I don't necessarily think that Dak putting himself in harm's way and running the ball more is going to really help them.
No, because it's not going to be an every week thing.
I just think that they need to be smarter and a little bit more aggressive in their play calling once they get inside the 20.
Yeah,
they get really conservative, and you're not going to score when you're conservative a lot, even if it's not a good team. You gotta like put the pedal to the metal and call a good play.
Dallas needs to face a team that will go touchdown for touchdown with them, because 3 out of the 4 weeks
that will be Miami in week 14.
Okay, well, hopefully
I don't think this game is going to be high scoring.
No, I'm not saying this week. I'm just saying in general, because Dallas, like you mentioned, they're going very conservative. But if you're already up like by 2 touchdowns to a bad team, there's no real reason to force anything when you can just kick 3 and walk off. So I don't think that we're going to see a less conservative red zone until either this week, because again, for the 14th time, if not this week, when? Because there is no other, like I keep on saying that. But Dallas has been very fortunate where 75% of the games have been blowouts, and the one loss was a fluke loss. Not a fluke, but it was an odd game, and it was something that was out of the ordinary. Well, outside of the rushing thing, but yeah, I don't. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Well, I mean, that's all I have to say. Again, I have the Cowboys winning 23-19 in a low scoring contest, and Owen has the Cowboys losing 30-10 in a blowout. So those are our two score predictions on the game. Obviously, with that being said, we both want the Cowboys to win. When none of us are wanting the Cowboys to lose. So Owen obviously wants, he doesn't, he doesn't care about, as much as like I joke around and act like it matters. Like, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. At that point, if he takes another loss for picking against Dallas, it's happy. It's a good thing because Dallas proved him wrong. And yeah, we're excited to see what happens. It's a primetime game. A lot more people are going to be watching. It's going to be one of those games where a lot of people have a chance to see what the Cowboys, what Dak Prescott is made of, and to see if they can get over the hump and make a positive step forward with against an opponent that's had their number in the postseason, and we'll see if they can get that done.
It's one of the biggest games of the year so far.
Right? It is.
It's one of it's outside of just the rivalry of the Cowboys and the 49ers. It has been, T.O. throwing the ball on the star and then just getting into fights with people. And it's a very hated rivalry. And it's about time that so I saw something that this game will break the tie that Dallas and 49ers have. They even win-loss, and then they've tied once. So this will break that unless they tie, which will not happen.
Yeah, they definitely will not tie. But yeah, definitely big win for bragging rights with the record. Big win for just
conference standings,
morale in the Dallas. I don't think it will really shake San Francisco that much, but for the Cowboys, this is a must win for the morale, because you're gonna have to face this unless something catastrophic happens. You're gonna have to face this team in the postseason. That's gonna be the team you have to get past to have any shot at where you want to go, and we're excited to see what happens. We'll have a lot to talk about after the game, of course, and hopefully we get the outcome that we want. But that's going to do it for this episode. Another long one, but we did have a lot to dive into, and I mean we're just waiting to see what happens. And if you want to, our Twitter, check out our Twitter. It's America's Team, capital P, capital C, and I'm sure. And if you want to check out, Owen's personal Twitter, I'm sure he'll have a lot to say during the game and after the game, and whether it be objective or subjective is.
I'm usually positive on Twitter. I can't lose any followers. Usually positive.
Yeah, that's the yeah, but that's what you have to look forward to. That's what we have to look forward to, and we'll be back next week to share our thoughts on the outcome of the game. But until then, go Cowboys. Have a great rest of your week. And Owen, as always, thanks for hanging out and talking to the boys.
Yeah, it's always fun. Have a great week, y'all. And go Cowboys. And yeah, for all you baseball fans, playoff baseball and big college footballs games this weekend. We have OU and UT playing. It's gonna be a fun weekend, but yeah, go Cowboys, and hopefully Dallas plays well and can, just prove to themselves and the rest of the NFL that they have what it takes to make a run. But that is all we have for tonight. Late night recording, and good night, Cowboys Nation.
All right, take care. Go Cowboys.